Yeah, we did have it working before, but it was a bit noisy. Don't tell anyone I'm doing this.
I've done exactly the same thing.
So the thing is getting the TV sound as well, so the...
Yeah, so that should all come through here. The only TV sound is here, just come.
Alright, so I'm not getting anything here. Yeah, not getting that. There we go. Oh, that's... And now, can we get the TVs playing? That. Because it's probably more important to be able to hear that.
It's all going the same way.
Yeah, great. I think that's...
How to make a protest sign.
Yeah. What about, what's the volume, what's the mix between that and the music? Because they'll be playing at the same time. Trigger the music as well?
How to make a protest.
Yeah, that's way cleaner than it was before.
Here's what, hello. Here's what I reckon. Well,
this live streaming?
What? Is that a no? Is that a, what does that mean? Sorry.
No. You get a shot of planet Earth and then come and
Oh, you're in the dark a little too much for me to get it. That's alright. I'll try to pick it up later.
Honestly, started crying. Hi, everyone. It's so wonderful to see so many distinguished colleagues in the room today. Welcome to Epoch Wars. For those who don't know me, I'm Lauren Kronemeyer, and I'll be facilitating this afternoon with my Pony Express collaborator, Ian Sinclair. Epoch Wars is the first artist-run geological congress. We are gathered here to decide the name of the next epoch of Earth's geologic history. Artists are experts in naming, and we believe that we should all have a say in naming the age we are currently living in, and will all die in. To inform this seismic and future-defining decision, you will experience a myriad of proposed epochs across this afternoon, before we gather in a council to decide once and for all. To help keep us on track, Ian and I will facilitate, and our Congress Secretary / stage manager, Sophie Ambler, is here to take the minutes. We thank you all for taking time out of your holiday weekend to be here with us. We give gratitude to the City Hall, New Annual Festival, and the Novocastrian peoples for welcoming us, in addition to our interstate, international, interspecies, and interdimensional delegates present today. I'd like to offer a special thanks as well to our colleagues at Cronus Art Center in Shanghai, who are hosting a live broadcast of this event. Ni hao and good day. We have an amazing program for you today, but before we proceed, please welcome our colleague Luke Russell to offer us all an acknowledgement of country.
Ngarbiai, Wardenbiai, Wargadlan. Who are you? Where have you come from? And where are you going? Kabran Gambo, Waya Tarra Panna Birongi. Narta Arraila, Narta Mirgai Guri. Yanamakundung Gurigal, Warma Julian Gringai. I'm from the dark blood, the Cumbo skin. The black cockatoo, the mulloway, the stringy bark, and the giant emu are my 4 personal totems. Going back to those first 3 questions I asked you, was what you would have been asked if you came to this country in traditional times, and especially if you came unannounced. Because contrary to popular belief, we weren't nomadic. You could not just walk through people's country or go wherever you want, whenever you wanted. You would have had to turn up to a predetermined spot, and you had to wait to be noticed, to be recognised. Now, once you were recognised, there was a very major discussion that had to take place. That discussion was about what family was going to vouch for you. Because if you come from a different place, you had to learn our laws. And each country had their own individual laws. And just like modern day Europe is made up of many countries, traditional Australia was made up of many different countries and many different nations. So you had to learn the law of the country that you were going to. You had to be taught that law. But equally, if you broke that law, it was the people who had put their hand up to vouch for you, to teach you, who were punished. So it wasn't an easy decision to make, to say, I will take that person on and I will take responsibility for them. So it's this process that I like to teach and would like everyone to learn, because I'm sure you've all seen people on TV thanking their elders, past, present and future, welcome you into country. That is not what happened traditionally. The other thing I would ask and encourage you to do, as far as learning our law, is to learn our language, because I do get that question asked a lot. And just learn some simple phrases, an acknowledgement and a hello, and a departing word. So an acknowledgement word for here on this Awabakal country, kai. A departing word, you know. These two simple words will go a long way into being respectful, not only to our modern day people, but more importantly for me, for our old people. So no matter what land you come from, please learn the language of the people whose land you are on. Because I'm sure that you have all been overseas, and nearly everyone has either been to Fiji or to Bali, and I bet everyone knows Bula, Banaka, Salamat Siang, Terima kasih. But before I told you what those words were for here, could you tell me the hello and thank you or goodbye in the land that you live on? So I ask you, please give the cultural respect that you give when you travel overseas to the same that you have on the country that you live on. So in saying that, what I can say today is, Nar Nabiye. I see you, I acknowledge you. Nyana Makurigal Nabiye. My old people see you, my old people acknowledge you. Murna Durian Murru. Make good talk and thank you.
Thanks so much, Luke. Hello, it's me, it's Ian. So what we're going to do now is everyone's favourite activity, a little bit of a getting to know you activity, all right? So what we're going to do is we're going to make a timeline of ourselves, all right? A timeline of ourselves. So I'm going to call out a decade, and if you were born in that decade, could you please stand, all right? Sounds like fun. So, anyone born in the 2010s? The 2010s, the last 10 years? No? What about the 2000s? The naughty noughties? Interesting. All right. What about the 1990s? Excellent, excellent, excellent. I want to call out when you were born, just from the back. 93, all right, great. And for those 93, was that the 93 was the youngest? Is that right? Oh, you're the youngest? Oh, fabulous. Oh, well, we've found our youngest delegate. Thank you so much. Please sit down, everyone else. Please remain standing. If the youngest delegate could remain standing in the room, thank you so much. It's such an honour to have you today. So we're just going to keep going now. The 1980s. That's also me. I'm 1987. Thank you. 1970s? 1970s? Oh, no, 1980s remain standing. 1980s remain standing. Yeah. Oh, no, go down. You're right. You're right. What about the, where are we up to? 1960s? 1960s? Who was born in the 60s? Okay. 1950s? Fabulous. Fabulous. What about the 1940s? Anyone in the 1940s? Oh! Fabulous. Well, I know you because you're my mum. So what we're going to do is Lauren's just going to pass you this golden sticker to both of you, and you are both donate the different generations in the room today, where we are on the timeline of either side, the boundary points, if you will, of this room. Great, thank you so much. And I'll just pass on to Lauren, who will talk a bit about the earth-shattering program of events we have today and a bit of housekeeping. All right, thank you so much, everyone.
Wasn't that fun? Now for everyone's favorite, a bit of housekeeping. We're aiming to keep this as relaxed and organic as possible, but as always, time is against us. You will find a schedule in your complimentary tote bags. First up, we have 3 keynotes from distinguished thought leaders about, in, and around the Anthropocene, the current frontrunner for the name of our epoch, as proposed by the science of geology. After this, we will enjoy a micro break for coffee, tea, and muffins. Following this, you will find your way to our 3 breakout sessions on the upper and lower floors from some of the world's foremost epoch warriors. Artists Bleck, Tallulah Brown, and Emma Mae Gibson will present 3 sessions on the Machinocene, the Capitalocene, and the Orgasmocene. You can choose to visit these sessions in any order by traveling up and down the main stairs. If you would prefer to take the lift, we have one to the left of the hall through here. Please speak to our front of house person who can direct or accompany you. You will also find a number of other epochs that you can visit throughout the building by scanning various QR codes, everybody's favorite. After our breakout sessions, we will hold a relaxed but rigorous sundowner with light refreshments and an open bar. Then we will return to this hall where we will hold our own Congress to collectively decide on the new name for our current epoch. Our staff is here to help and direct you. You can identify us by our hats and our green lanyards. Everyone give a wave. Yay. That's us. If you get lost, just ask for help. And if you get really lost, you can simply curl into a boulder and one of us will come assist you. How exciting. With that, we let our day begin. Ian, I'll get you to introduce our first keynote.
Thanks so much, Lauren. So just to introduce our first keynote today, I'd like to bring to the stage an expert on PowerPoints and Power Play. Please welcome to the stage Harriet Gillies, everybody. Harriet Gillies.
Good morning, distinguished colleagues, invited guests, and paying audience members. I extend my thanks to Pony Express for inviting me to deliver this most pressing and timely keynote today here at Epoch Wars. The Oxford English Dictionary defines keynote as a talk that establishes a main underlying theme. In corporate or commercial settings, greater importance is attached to the delivery of a keynote speech or keynote address. This quick deep dive into the terms of the invitation offers me 2 takeaways. 1, that I've been tasked in establishing the main theme of Epoch Wars, and 2, that I am and the things that I say are, by definition, greatly important. I hope to, in my time today, provide some appropriate context, define some key terms, and offer a defence of the advancement of the Anthropocene. But in order to go forwards, we must go backwards. The Oxford English Dictionary is actually behind a paywall and requires a $100 yearly subscription in order to look up the meaning of multiple words such as epoch. The free and accessible online Cambridge Dictionary defines epoch as a long period of time, especially one in which there are new developments and great change. So we're talking about time, people. This meeting today, this coming together, is in order for us to think about time. Time, time, time. What a doozy. Time as clock, time as schedule, time as suffering. Epochs are dealing with long time, really long time, like before anyone you know was born, before there were even living things you might recognise as people, before dinosaurs and cockroaches. It's a scale of time that we pesky little humans with our Uber Eats and bullet trains struggle to conceptualise, let alone understand. The Cambridge Dictionary, free and online, goes on to give a specialised definition of epoch as it pertains to geology, one of the periods of time in which the history of the Earth can be measured, into which an era can be divided. I posit this definition today because it turns out there is one material that humans can turn to in order to begin to understand long and deep time. Rocks. Yes. Solid mineral material forming part of the surface of the Earth, exposed either on the surface or underlying the soil. Rocks are our planet's keepers of time. They accumulate layers of sediment, but also layers of time, changing in texture and appearance, like a beautiful trifle or a tiramisu. These rock layers provide evidence of Earth's past landscapes, a key to unlock the door into deep history. So, in some random twist of fate, rock nerds become humanity's readers of deep time, acting like detectives, piecing together a mystery to determine how long ago these rocks formed. It's not historians nor anthropologists, not philosophers nor politicians, geologists. So we're talking about time today, but we're also, surprisingly, talking about rocks. Geologists have, not secretly, but in somewhat unbeknownst to mainstream culture, they have been having a total glow-up since the end of the 19th century. Associations were established all over the world, and a branch of geology that specifically deals with the arrangement and succession of rock layers, chronostratigraphy, emerged. So the important and romantic task of a deeply cosmic scale, that of grappling with the history of the Earth since the day of the Big Bang, of understanding our worldly ancestors and their environments, has been taken up by the geologists of the world. Rock doctors are more powerful than we ever could have imagined. The geologist's record of deep time is expressed in the clinical form of spreadsheets and tables. They got out there with their empirical sense of order, and they looked at the rocks and they took out their little rulers and they created the geological time scale. The geological time scale. This table is the largest document of time that we have as a civilization. Time is broken down into epochs, periods, eras, and eons. This is not dissimilar to the way we understand a tennis grand slam. So if you're struggling to keep up, imagine Serena Williams smashing out a bunch of games. This is the same as time running through a bunch of epochs. Then once there are enough games, we call it a set, or in this case, we would call it a period. With a few notable periods, we have an era, which is match point, and Serena holds up her era trophy and is approximately 190 million years old, give or take. This timescale allows us to grasp the insane amount of time that has existed before us. An epoch could last roughly 10,000 years, an eon closer to 4.6 billion. So Team Rock came in and drove a flag into the concept of time. They made it linear, they made it colour-coded, they made it into neat little lines like a tiramisu. Then they started bulking up and building dominance across the world. In 1961, the International Union of Geological Sciences was formed. With 121 national members, representing over 1 million geoscientists, the IUGS is geology's primary governing body and one of the most significant and active non-governmental scientific organisations in the world. It's insane how much power Team Rock actually have. Since 1961, the IUGS has experienced rapid growth in membership, scientific scope and expertise, as well as international prestige. The IUGS works through topic-specific commissions, task groups and initiatives that are concerned with a geological research of direct interest to governments, industry and academic groups within the earth sciences. And what exactly is the industry related to rocks, you ask? Mining. Yes, Big Papa Rock is in the business of blowing up rock, digging into it, under it, inside it. So, the IUGS today has, a lot of money and power coming into it. These guys aren't fucking around. The network has spread their ideology and institutional values into a giant geologist monopoly as big as Uluru. That's the biggest monopoly. It's a rock joke. Seriously, if I had $1 for every acronym that these guys have established, I'd be richer than Gina Reinhardt. I'll give you an example. One such acronym is the ICS, the International Commission of Stratigraphy. The ICS is the largest and oldest constituent scientific body of the IUGS. Its primary objective is to promote and defend the International Chronostratigraphic Chart that decides the basis for the periods, epochs and ages of the International Geological Time Scale. The work of the Commission is divided between 17 sub-commissions, each responsible for a specific period of geological time. Their work is overseen and coordinated by an executive of 6 officers, who you best believe are all dudes, and all but one of them are white. The IUGS and the ICS clearly revel in breaking everything down into smaller, distinguishably different parts for deep analysis. It reminds me of the last piece of a shared dessert when you're out to dinner at a restaurant, and rather than selfishly taking the last piece of cake or whatever, everyone continues to halve the final piece on the table until the final remnant is microscopic and unrecognisable. Look, it's certainly an approach. Sometimes things are greater than the sum of their parts. Sometimes things are just parts. Dictionary.com defines war as a state of hostility, conflict, or antagonism, a struggle or competition between opposing forces or for a particular end. Humans are the only species on the planet that engage in war. Nothing changes the global landscape as much as war. Since the violent spread of the Roman Empire, war has always been a defining feature of human society. From the advent of warfare in the first cities, the rise in inequality and tyranny as humans multiply, the 1,000-year classical era of conflict, until the firearm, which changed everything. The popular revolutions of the 18th century ushered in total war of the 20th century, the devastation of which was halted, for now, by the shock of Hiroshima. We will come back to this. We are in the longest stretch of peace between major powers in modern history. However, that hasn't meant an end to war. Cultural conflict between social groups and the struggle for dominance of a particular values, beliefs, and practice rage on. Wars are around issues such as racism, sexism, abortion, homosexuality, trans rights, and the fight for climate justice. These wars are not in fields, but on streets, in each other's houses, in exchanges with strangers, and within the many institutions that organise us, care for us, and give us purpose. But Harriet, what does this have to do with rocks and time? So glad you asked. The Anthropocene Working Group, AWG, was established in 2009 as part of the Subcommission of Quaternary Stratigraphy, SQS, a constituent body of the International Commission on Stratigraphy, ICS, an affiliate of the International Union of Geological Sciences, the IUGS. The Anthropocene Working Group is a research group dedicated to the study of the Anthropocene as a geological time unit. The Anthropocene is not currently a formally defined geological unit within the geological time scale, and officially we still live within the Megalaean age of the Holocene epoch. A campaign to formalise the Anthropocene is being developed by the AWG. This proposal would terminate the Holocene epoch as well as the Megalaean age. The AWG is now undergoing a formalisation process to scientifically recognise the Anthropocene as a new geological time unit, which is defined by an overwhelming and broad-ranging human impact on the planet. Hence anthropos, it's Greek for human. The AWG are proposing that the start of the Anthropocene occurred during the year 1945. The year that the development, testing, and deployment of nuclear weapons rained permanent traces of radioactive isotopes upon the planet. Thousands of irrevocable global detonations, hundreds of thousands of civilians killed, millions displaced, an eternity of unmanageable and volatile waste that has coated the entire Earth in nucleotides. There are still observable traces of radioactive isotopes in the flesh of every creature that lived on Earth in 1945. In order for the Anthropocene to be formally ratified and entered into the geological timescale, the AWG needs to deliver a golden spike. The golden spike, aka the global boundary stratotype section and point, aka a geologist dick measuring contest, aka ridiculous rock ritual, is a figurative and, as you can see, literal spike, a signal that marks the end of one epoch and the dawn of another. It points to something of observable change in rock formations that can be seen to have affected the entire planet. A line inside the keepers of time that help us to tell epochs apart. When an epoch is announced, a clean layer in the tiramisu of the world, a tiramisu so big that the line can be seen in every corner of the planet, Team Geology throw a big party and come together to nail a spike into a clear example of the line. It's a really big deal and totally the campest thing ever. There are currently 77 of these shiny golden dicks penetrating the Earth across the world. Some even have theme parks built around them. Time between epochs is indeed a rare thing. The last time it happened was 11,700 years ago, when there were only a few million people living on the planet. Never before has an epoch been defined while we were living through it. In fact, some people believe it's too soon in time to really call it. A big part of the rock community aren't happy about the campaign of the AWG, and the Anthropocene is not without backlash. One argument against the idea that a new human-dominated epoch has recently begun is that humans have been changing the planet for a long time already, indeed practically since the start of the Holocene. People have been farming for 8,000 or 9,000 years, and some scientists have proposed that this development already represents an impact on a geological scale. Furthermore, it could be argued that the Anthropocene has not yet arrived because the human impacts on the planet are destined to be even greater 50 or 100 years from now. However, if the Anthropocene is accepted into the timescale and henceforth science and history, it would clearly vocalise in a simple term that we humans have changed the planet to such an extent that it is no longer part of the Holocene world of the last 11,700 years, but in a new and unstable epoch with an uncertain future. It would remind us as a species that we are living through such a profound time of change, and given that we are the cause, should try to understand how this has come to pass. Look, if you're half as nihilistic as me, you're probably thinking, this world will outwear any of the labels that we decide to give it, and any of the people who came up with the labels, so why does it matter? Well, it doesn't really. None of it matters, and we're all going to die. But that's thinking too big a scale, yeah? I need to zoom back into a smaller scale, one that we can understand and one that matters to us. We are some 7 billion humans living on this planet. Words help us express our feelings and thoughts. It is the way by which people communicate with one another, build relationships, and create a sense of community. It is the way we tell stories. And stories have immense power, and their impact depends entirely on how we wield them. Because humans think in stories, and we try to make sense of the world by telling stories. Humans don't think in facts or numbers or equations. Money is probably the most successful story ever told. It has no objective value, but then you have these master storytellers, the big bankers, the finance ministers, governments, and they come and they tell this very convincing story, and now I've got to pay rent and pay for an Oxford English Dictionary subscription to figure out the meaning of the words that make up the stories that shape who I am and what I care about in the world that I live in and what that world is like. To name something is to claim power over it. It decides the story that we will all henceforth tell. Acts of naming can be a form of violence. Acts of naming can start revolutions. The IUGS knows this. Whether or not it is intentional, they have been producing an endless stream of names, acronyms, and classifications that create impact and power. They are telling this story, and without even noticing, have grown more powerful than we ever could have imagined. Whether or not it becomes a geological fact, the word Anthropocene is now inextricably embedded within 21st century discourse. It has a rich life in meme culture. It has snuck into the daily vernacular as a shorthand for late-stage capitalism and the shittery of the society that we all inherited. The battle lies in whether or not the geologists are willing to accept that their term has grown and morphed into something so much more than just a line on a rock. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Harriet. Please welcome back to the stage our second keynote, curator of the Pavilion of Sand, cultural advisor at Wayala Buranlin, and spokesperson of the Guraki Cultural Advisory Committee to the City of Newcastle, Luke Russell.
Firstly, thank you, Harriet. That was amazing. Aliantin. Hey, everyone. A while ago now, I was asked to give a keynote speech at this event. Epoch Wars. All right, what's Epoch Wars? I'd never heard of it, but I did get a really good explanation from Sam, Lauren and Ian. And then I was asked, did my people have different names for different periods of time? The short answer is no, but I'm going to come back to that later. As the conversation continued, the discussion became about time. How did my old people perceive time? How could I speak to the concept of time and give an interpretation based on my old people's knowledge? Yeah, I can do that, because what you're talking about is our law. So unlike modern time, which is sequential, measured in years, months, weeks, days, seconds, traditional time is cyclical. It's based on the sun and its differing trajectory throughout our seasons. It's based on the moon and its ever-changing phases. It was based on the stars and our people's constellations. All of these cycles were measured within our traditional seasons, which were not dictated by a change of month, but by a change in the predominant wind. For the stars and our constellations would tell us that the change was near. It was the wind that signified the beginning of each season. Not a set time for a predetermined amount of time, but for a cycle of time. How often have you or someone said to you, "It's supposed to be winter. It's not that cold yet." Or, "When is spring going to be here? I can't wait for it to warm up." I'm sure every one of us has either said or heard one of these phrases or something similar about our modern seasons. But how many were aware that because, as far as nature was concerned, we hadn't changed seasons yet? Furthermore, how many are aware that depending on what weather cycle we were in, traditionally we had 6 to 8 seasons? It was this knowledge, this connection to our world and this planet, that the first mathematicians had arrived, having an extremely detailed understanding of complex mathematical concepts, millions of cycles, that's hundreds of thousands of years, before the modern world claimed to do so, or at the very least, credit was given for it. Those of you who may remember, it wasn't that long ago, that 40,000 years was the number they had given to my old people's existence. Then it jumped to 60,000 years, based on new technology. But that number is cutting it awfully fine to the out of Africa theory, isn't it? I believe it was last year, there was only a small story written about a group of scientists working in Victoria. They were working on different strata layers in a specific geographical formation. They believe they found evidence of occupation below an ice age layer that they had dated to approximately 120,000 years. My Jambi, my teaching grandfather, would adamantly say, "I don't care what those white fellas say, we come from this land." There is still some debate today about whether it was Pythagoras or one of his later followers that should be credited with the numerological and celestial knowledge we now know. But I ask you, how can this be? Credit given to a man who lived some 2,500 years ago for knowledge that has been known and practiced for millions of cycles before his very existence. Having that knowledge, and as I hope you have realised for some considerable amount of time, my old people were able to know with a high degree of certainty the comings and goings of all our terrestrial events, using this knowledge to move camps with the change of seasons, for we were not a group of nomadic wanderers. We lived a complex life based on the cycles of the universe, knowing when to hunt, knowing the right time to fish, the time to gather those seasonal fruit and vegetables, the time for our numerous ceremonies that were established for our people to pay their respects and celebrate the multitude of those terrestrial, marine and celestial events that made up our law. Ceremonies that united different people from different mobs, large communal events that were used to settle any differences, as this had to be done before any ceremony took place. Trading of the various tools and materials that we use to maintain our existence, and plain and simply to catch up with relatives and friends from different areas and have a good yarn, share news, and as we still do today, spread a bit of gossip. One such event that would take place not too far from here, if those of you know our beautiful city, it's just across the other side of the harbour over there. And it took place in the right season, was our mullet dreaming. In that particular season, the mullet would make their journey from the ocean up the estuaries. At that time, a ceremony and a celebration would take place, giving thanks and respect to the mullet, its life, the role it played in sharing sea lore up the length of what we now know as the Hunter River. It was also to celebrate a seasonal move back to the coast, a celebration of another cycle. It was said that the mullet were so numerous you could walk across their backs along in the water. The numbers were their reason why so many of our mobs could attend, using the abundance of the mullet to ensure everyone was well fed and equally and importantly, that we didn't deplete a natural resource. Another example of our people letting the universe dictate what, where and when. Letting the universe dictate time. So now we can add astronomers, astrologers, biologists, botanists, ecologists, meteorologists to that growing list of firsts. But what about geologists? After all, we're here to yarn up about a name for these epochs, aren't we? How many of you were aware that this planet's first use of coal as a fuel source was right here in and around Newcastle and Lake Macquarie? The area around Lake Macquarie, its traditional name is Nikampa, the place of coal. We have a dreaming story about how coal was made and how it could be used. But this is just one of many dreaming stories, our law that explained the formation of our geographical features. Those stories tell us about the origin and formation of the country we live on. And yes, the majority of those stories sound like children's stories involving large animals and dreaming spirits. That's because that's exactly what they are. They're children's stories. To learn a different version of those stories, you had to learn and pass through our knowledge levels. Each level coming closer to what we would say today is science. For in a children's version, the story of the two eels and their creation of our rivers in this language group. Yet in a higher version, the eels are a metaphor for water. Geology was a part of all aspects of our traditional life. Our law was put down on the country in the form of petroglyphs, engravings, cave paintings, and geographical landmarks. How did my old people know which of those sandstone platforms would be best suited and why were others left bare? The same question can be asked of why certain caves were chosen and others not. I cannot give you an answer, but I can tell you that even though the majority of those sites have not been touched or maintained in 150 years, they are still here for us to learn from today. The sites that were not chosen show varying signs of deterioration. At times of ceremony, those engravings were painted up, decorated with our various ochres. The same done with our bodies. Numerous designs and patterns using to signify the importance of the learning and or the cycle being celebrated. All ceremonies involve this, showing how important the earth was to my people. The intimate knowledge was on display in the process to obtain the best and brightest red ochre, for we didn't use red clay, but we rolled balls of yellow clay and fired it, producing a far more superior red than could be attained naturally. As far as day-to-day use, we used basalt for our axe heads. We had numerous stones for their abrasive qualities in the making and finishing of our tools. And one stone in particular, known today as Merewether Chert, was only found in 2 spots in this area. But because of its quality, once it was knapped, it was traded as far as South and Western Australia. I've spoken about our law being put down on country. There was an equal amount in the stars. Our law was all around us, above and below. Our constellations represented our dreaming spirits, our animals, our trees and our plants, telling us what time of the cycle it was to have that coincided with that ceremony. An example, when the emu was breeding, when the eggs would be available. As I've stated, when certain fish were spawning and when they would arrive and when we would have to leave to travel to that place. Also, when certain plants would produce their edibles, their medicine. Our law was all around us constantly. Now jump forward to today, and what is the difference? Instead of recognising this world we live in is made up of many marvellous aspects, all of which work in unison with everything else to provide us with all we need to thrive, we have taken this modern approach of separation, isolating every aspect and distorting it, looking to bend it to our will. One, because we have the technology, but more importantly, because we are ignorant to the cycles and believe that we are smarter than those who have gone before us. Ignoring millions of cycles of innate wisdom of numerous Indigenous peoples that have called this world home. Why is it that we put so much more kudos into modern science and technology when in most cases all they are doing is just reinventing the wheel? Thankfully though, modern science is recognising and starting to validate traditional knowledge holders from a number of different peoples, gradually coming to a consensus that pre-modern, pre-Western views of living in unity within our cosmos and the way for us to once again to enjoy this paradise called Earth. Now, back to that earlier question. Did my old people have different names for different periods of time? No. We didn't need to break up time. We lived in the continuum, letting the universe give our sense of time. So, there is no need for an argument, and there is no need for a war on what the next time frame should be called. And this is plain and simply is because there is only one name needed. Buranlan, the dreaming. Always was, always will be. Murru, thank you.
Thank you so much. Please welcome to the stage our third and final keynote, award-winning performance artist, thought leader, and community member, Emma Mae Gibson, sharing with us her tips and tricks for surviving the Anthropocene.
Hello. It is a pleasure to be here with you. And thank you to Lauren for that introduction and to Ian and Lauren for having me here in this very potent and important dialogue. I want to acknowledge the country that I'm on and the courage that I'm on, Awabakal and Warramai. I live and love on Gadigal and Bidjigal, and I've travelled to be here today, and I feel very fortunate to be able to do that. So thank you for having me. And I also want to thank and pay my respects to my fellow keynotes for their wisdom, and that's Luke and Harriet. Thank you. I I'm here, pardon me, Excuse me. Okay. One moment, please. I am here today. Pardon me. One moment. I'm here today. Just one moment. I'm here today, and I am here. I'm sorry. Please, one moment. more water. Thank you, Sophie. Thank you.
Thank you, MMA, for those insightful observations. I acknowledge everything that's happened here. Now, I invite you all to join me for a quick break. This is your opportunity to use one of our many bathrooms, perhaps enjoy a coffee or tea, or a muffin. In a few minutes, I'll be letting you know when it's time to go to your breakout sessions. I invite you to look at your program and consider which one would you like to attend first. Upstairs, we have the Capitalocene and the Orgasmocene, and downstairs we have the Machinocene. There will be 3 rotations of breakout sessions, so you're welcome to try all 3. Now, please join me. Thank you.
The reason why I became really fascinated and interested in plastic is because, for me, it feels like it's the intimacy of oil. We think about our relationship to oil as primarily, and especially as a substance, as primarily through electricity grids or through gasoline or through other kinds of ways in which we interact with oil. And obviously we understand that our economies and our wars and the ways in which politics is oriented is completely dominated by this particular primordial substance. But one of the things that I was really interested in was the way in which plastic becomes such an intimate part of our everyday lives. So everything from our clothes to sex toys to baby bottles, etc. Well, what is plastic? Obviously, plastic is a material that is fairly ubiquitous. It was actually originally formed in the early 1900s. The first type of plastic, which is actually a synthetic polymer, was made by Bakeland. And since then, obviously, the rise of plastic has been fairly ubiquitous. It's a particle that, or it's a series of molecules that are characterized by their polymeric structure. So it's not actually a uniform material, but what is uniform about it is the fact that it holds on to its identity under virtually all conditions. These are called the plastaglomerate stones, and they were officially sort of recognized in 2013 by the Geological Society of America, and they are recognized as a new type of rock. And obviously what is interesting about these rocks is that they really are they're a plastic rock. So what actually happened is that they went to these beaches in Hawaii, and there's so much plastic just sort of embedded in the sand there that people would go and have bonfires. And as the bonfires would be roaring, the plastic that's just there is kind of, that permeates the entire environment, would melt. And as it would melt, it would adhere to all kinds of other substances. So what the plastaglomerate is a hybrid material resulting from the fusion of plastic debris with natural materials such as lava, wood, metal, sand, and marine corals. And so what I find fascinating about this is that plastic is one of the proposed indicators of the Anthropocene, and regardless how you feel about the Anthropocene, I think that the plastic really is, it is one of those materials that there's a very clean dividing line between before and after it gets introduced. And we don't really have a very good sense of the longevity of plastic, but certainly in certain kinds of conditions, such as the bottom of the ocean or in the geologic layer, our best estimates is that it will stick around for about 100,000 years. It really defies the rest of the logic of the Earth, or the rest of the logic of what rock actually means. So there's a fundamental difference between rock that is the foundation of the Earth, and plastic. When we point out the synthetic or artificial nature of something, what we are pointing to is the way in which it develops, emerges, or is created irrespective of its surrounding environment. Plastic is the ultimate universality because it has no relationship to any kind of particular locale, and it's designed specifically to be able to be reproduced and replicable under almost any conditions. And this actually poses a problem when you're trying to do things like dating plastic objects, because their molecular structure is designed to be quite similar, and also because of the fact that once it adheres within a particular kind of form, it really is a fairly impenetrable object that is exactly the same all the way through. So its surface is the same all the way through. And this kind of universality is precisely the kind of problem with plastic. So plastic is not of this Earth in the sense that the Earth itself, particular sites, carry memories of the creatures and activities that have taken place on them. There is an infolding of geology, atmosphere, and organism, one that mutually co-evolves and that carries with it certain memories and patterns of behavior, holding not only the memories of the human creatures that occupy or pass through a particular place, but also the memories of the other animals, plants, and geologies that mutually inform that place. So even in geology, rocks bear traces or an inscription of their history, determining and being determined by the activities of the creatures that reside, pass through, live, and die within particular environments. The sense of ecology tied to a notion of placemaking is defied by a material such as plastic. There is no local for plastic. Instead, plastic exists everywhere and anywhere.
LOC. How to make a protest sign. First, get your pizza box. You can use cardboard and paper too. Get a paintbrush, some paint. Think of some catchy slogans. Unfold your pizza box. The catchier the slogan, the better. Get creative with it. While glittering gets you everywhere, you know you have to be perfect for that photo op. Some of my favorite slogans have been: create solution, no pollution. Always was, always will be. There is no planet B. Abolish the monarchy. Eat the rich. The boss gets a dollar, I get a dime. That's why I poop on company time. ScoMo is a wanker. How do you spell racist? AFP. Using nice bright colors helps. You can also get creative and add pictures of funny drawings. Make sure you use big bold letters that are evenly spaced. This makes it easier to read. Some protest posters can be fun chants that are used at a protest. For example, and there you have it. How to easily make a protest poster out of things you have in your home. I hope this helps you to make your own protest poster. Stay tuned for more tutorials. Protest etiquette. When going to a protest or demonstration, you need to ensure your anonymity. Tattoos, birthmarks, or anything identifiable are a no-no, and make sure you cover this well. Gloves, hats, masks, and sunglasses can cover identity and protect. Masks can double for health and safety. Cash or card. When going to a protest or demonstration, use cash only for public transport and purchases. They can track your whereabouts with your purchases on your card. If you're buying anything naughty for the protest/demonstration, make sure it's all bought with cash too. We should all make a move to go back to using cash instead of card. Are you comfortable with them knowing where you spend every cent? The government's push to use credit cards was not for our benefit, but for theirs to track us. What's in my bag? Welcome to What's in My Bag. Let's see, shall we? This is just a standard bag that I take with me to protests. Some rags, first aid, or fall projectile, hand sanitizer. Carbon safe for sterilization. Ventolin inhaler, asthma safe. Scissors and utility knife to cut clothing and cut through zip ties. Tissues, multiple use, tape, multiple uses. First aid kit and some goggles to protect your eyes, safety measures. Make sure the goggles are airtight, and a bottle for projectile, or to hold your water, or other flammable liquids. Don't forget milk, it can help flush the eyes out from pepper spray. Let's Let's make a Molotov cocktail together. Today we're going to be making a Molotov cocktail. First you're going to need a glass bottle. Alcohol bottles work well, but whatever you have on deck works too. Then get your highly flammable liquid. Alcohol works. Petrol is great for this. Pour your flammable liquid into your glass bottle if it isn't in there already. Careful not to make a mess or get it on yourself. Try to fill it halfway or a little over halfway, but not full. Make sure you don't get any on yourself. In real life, you will have to work quickly. Get that rag. Now that you've done this, get your scrap material, the easy to tear and burn the bell. Get that rag and push it tightly into the bottle. You don't want it falling off when it is thrown. Now here comes the final step. Get your lighter. It's good to have multiple at the ready. If one fails, you have backups, and maybe your friend needs one. Get your working lighter and light that rag. Get ready to throw. Now get into groups of 3. Now that you're skilled in Molotov making, we can move on to something a bit more complex. Here is something I had started to look at earlier. You can find the full tutorial in the Signal PDF. Get the cap for the end of the pipe. Get your nails. Any nails work. Put your nails inside the pipe. Put your lid on the pipe. Attach your wires to their respective places. Pre-preparing this, you need to ensure your egg timer works. Set your timer. Ready.
Amanda,
you
can extend these arms.
Blinding was the flame beneath the last shuttle. To eyes forgotten, such heaven-bound light. There are no stars here in hell, only fumes and billboards that hide them from sight. And the angels descending were all drones who brought no mercy to those left behind. On the day the machine rode the life raft to the city afar in the sky. Our temples turned tombs for the hopeless who begged God to deliver their right. But no God there was who was listening. He'd sold up, bought his ticket, caught the next flight, out. Out goes the flame once so blinding of the last shuttle that left us behind, to be so alone in this darkness of the never-ending night. words I'll be stoking the fire, and on his feet I'll be chasing the stone. So raise your fist, go forth, raise them on higher, for the freedom by right yours is born. And if was what they're wanting, we'll wound them with a weapon that knows no defeat, or by the truth in the eyes of the people. Won't forget, no, won't fold, now repeat with me. And say, I need to know how he turned your heart as white as snow. And say, I need to know how he left your biz black as coal. Like on the wind by the break of the dawn, bring me his heart if it's true. Sleep now, my angel, don't peep in the dark. When they take one, I take two. I'll lay them down to rest your weary head. Mark their toes and bind their elbows, and their teeth I will wear like flowers in my hair. Soon you'll know the fire as I lead her through the gates of your empire. Through your empire.
Thank you, everyone. Just make your way out here. If you haven't seen the capital scene yet, go and experience that. If you get to see the gas scene, go and have fun with that. You're all on the top level. Or find another place to go.
Considering these and many other major and still growing impacts of human activities on Earth and atmosphere, and at all and global scales, it seems to us more than appropriate to emphasize the central role of mankind in geology and ecology by proposing the use of the term Anthropocene for the current geological epoch. An exciting, but also difficult and daunting task lies ahead of the global research and engineering community to guide mankind towards global, sustainable environmental management. Crutzen, PJ, and Sturmer, EF, 2000. The Anthropocene. Global Change Newsletter, 4117. June 14th, 2014. Hashtag Misanthropocene 24 Theses. Clover, J, and Spar J. First of all, fuck y'all. Oakland, California.
The personal is geological. Colebrook, Claire, 2017. We have always been post-Anthropocene. The Anthropocene counterfactual. In Grusin R. Anthropocene Feminism, University of Minnesota Press. The Anthropocene marks severe discontinuities. What comes after will not be like what came before. I think our job is to make the Anthropocene as short/thin as possible, and to cultivate with each other in every way imaginable epochs to come that can replenish refuge. Right now, the Earth is full of refugees, human and not, without refuge. So I think a big new name, actually more than one name, is warranted. Thus, Anthropocene, Plantationocene, and Capitalocene, Andreas Malm's and Jason Moore's term before it was mine. I also insist that we need a name for the dynamic, ongoing, symphonic forces and powers of which people are a part, within which ongoingness is at stake. Maybe, but only maybe, and only with intense commitment and collaborative work and play with other terrains, flourishing for rich multi-species assemblages that include people will be possible. I'm calling all of this the Thulocene, past, present, and to come. Haraway, D. Anthropocene, Capitalocene, Plantationocene, Thulocene. Environmental Humanities, 2016. We are against the efforts of the International Commission on Stratigraphy to declare the end of the Holocene epoch and to declare the beginning of a new Anthropocene epoch. The undeniable markers of human-caused destructive domination of Earth are dismal warning signs that the Holocene epoch is seriously endangered, but they are not nails on the coffin of life as we know it. Cuomo, C. 2015, against the official Anthropocene, online petition, moveon.org, access September 9th, 2018. This new geological era can be thought of as the Gynocene. Understanding the term does not mean thinking of a woman's world which excludes virility, but as a world which mobilizes it towards humanist and animist goals, rather than oppressive, violent, and colonial enterprises. We see the feminine as equivalent not to a gender, but to a condition. Not a natural condition, but a cultural one. The feminine is the first stage towards a transgressive humanism, and the Gynocene is the first global and simultaneous transfer of the feminine imprint onto the physical and political strata.
The beauty. Give it up for Joe. Beautiful. Tian, yeah. You want to hit that track? Thank you. Oh, welcome to the Orgasmocene. So this is an invitation into breath, and breath has been so important to me for comfort and activity and metabolizing lately. So this is an invitation into that, but everything I do is a suggestion. So if you want to observe too, very beneficial actually to be a good observer, to see and be seen, to listen. And we're just going to bring both feet flat onto the floor now. Yeah, just feel the reality of your body on the seat. This is an invitation into breath. This is the Orgasmocene, and it belongs to you because it's always been here for you, and we have always been lovers. In through the nose and out through the mouth. I invite you just to be where you are at. Soon I'll invite you to close your eyes. Sometimes that's a bit of a curious sensation during these things, so they don't have to stay closed. They can come open, or you can leave them half-lidded. Breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth. I invite you into deep care of your body and of the bodies of the people around you. So if you do choose to come to standing, when I initiate it, just feet planted on the floor. You can Extend your arms up, but have beautiful awareness of the space around you. In through the nose, out through the mouth, just emptying, letting the breath fall out of you. Let go of what you don't need and inhale all that good vibration of all the amazing bodies in this place, people that we're sharing space and ideas with. Breathe in. Good bodies. If you become dizzy during this, I quite like that, but if you don't like that, quieten the breath. Yeah, return to the seat, or even if you need, you can go to the floor, or again, Tom is there to assist you. You can go outside if you need, there's a water cooler there, yeah? We're going to accelerate up and decelerate together. I invite you to play with tempo and movement and boogie and clenching and unclenching, extension, folding and expanding through this breath, in through the nose and out. If your mind begins to wander, groovy, that happens. Bring your paws and your hands to your belly. I find this really helps to bring me back to my breath. Belly breath deep down, 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 beyond. Teate, paragate, parasamgate, bodiso. Good bodies. In through the nose, out through the mouth. I acknowledge the power in my body to facilitate breath. I acknowledge the time that we've lived through, constricted breath, the tragedy and the violence of stopped breath, but the limitless, infinite potential of our amazing bodies to be with our breath and to be powerful, active, open, listening hearts, listening bodies. Listen to your body now. Breathe in. Awareness to your nostrils, out. You might start to make some noises as you exhale. This helps me. They might be a bit sexy, or animal, or aching, or a mix of all of it. Breathe in and out. Yeah, nice. Good bodies. Breathe in and out. If you yawn, great. Breathe in. Nice and big, and fill it up and release it. In. With a bit more intensity now, and out like you're blowing out a candle. Play with that. Or a dandelion, parachute, seeds. Breathe in. Out. Yeah, nice. I feel that. In. And out. In and out. In, breathe, good. Be here. In, 2, 3, 4, and out. Nice. Nice. We're about at like a 3 out of 10 level intensity, right? Just to give you a bit of a map. In, and out. 2, 3, 4. In. Fast now. Alright, when you're ready, experimenting, playing with what it is to let your breath bring you to standing, soft knees, basin of water in that belly. Nice, good. In, out. You might like to stay seated or groovy. Out, good. Breathe in. My chest lifts me up. I bring my relationship, ass to floor, feet to floor, root system, my trunk, my limbs, my hands. They might just gently start to sway side to side or a bit of a shake. Good. We're picking up the speed a little bit here. Nice. Soft knees. Good body. Bit of a heart pump now, side to side. like my own baby, and I give myself a little bit of a rock and roll side to side. I lift my heels off the earth. I feel the reality, the weight of my body, and it shakes me, quakes me. Good. I land my heels, and they enable my flesh to shake. All right, we're like at a 5 out of 10 now. Let's take it up to an 8. Why not? Let's go. Good. Let it fall out. Good bodies. If you're seated, stay with it. Just breathe. If you want to, you can swim these arms up to the sky. I like to sing my breath out my fingertips. I call in that good, renewable love energy. You can play with tempo here. Fire breath. Or slower. Try mix the two. Alright, for like an 8 out of 10, let's take it to a 15 for those that want to. That might make you move a bit quick. Or even leave the floor if you want. I like to shake my heart here. Stay with it. I use my paws, my flippers, my tentacles, my hands to bring the energy into my heart, into my junk, into my mind, into my spirit, into my breath. Alright, final little bit of combustion. Turn up the heat if you want it. Real fast now. Alright. Now let that naturally slide back down that scale. Back to an 8. Swim into your hips. You're swimming now. Deep remembrance of some cellular aquatic energy. Oh yeah, that's nice. Good bodies. You might like to touch yourself, just hug yourself. I find my hand resting on my chest, one on my heart, one on my belly. We're down to like 4 out of 10 energy now, yeah? It's that tree energy again, just allowing the wind to sway you side to side. Feel how the body's shifted. Ooh. Being where you are at, yeah? Real gentle. Letting the breath allow you to come to stillness. Let the arms drop down, cool water pouring down your skull, down your spine, down your shoulders, running off your fingertips. Feel the heat on your body, on your skin, and just be here. Gently open your eyes, but keep this nice focus beyond. And scan the room with your head and check out the space. We're coming back into the space. Check out the other beautiful bodies in the room. And bring your hands up, have a look at them. And then put them together and give yourselves a round of applause. The Orgasmo scene is here for you anytime you need it. Thank you, bodies. Have a beautiful rest of your afternoon. Drink water and bubbles if you desire it. I will see you in the deep thinking. Thank you for being here. Drink water. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, beauties.
Australians have always known it. There's nothing tougher than hard yakka. Hard yakka.
Berapa lama bakal begitu?
Ini biasa 1 jam, sampai 1,5 jam, tergantung ukuran kepala.
Palus itu ya biasa biar ujang dikerja toh. Ujang panas karena itu di perlengkapan ada penutup diri, woka dan tudung. Itu woka itu dia pakai rupa mantel begini. Nah itu memang daun woka. Dia pakai. Kalau di lain daun lontar dia bilang woka itu daun lontar.
Masyarakat adat Minahasa pada momen HIMAS 2020 ini kami meminta dan mendesak negara untuk segera mensahkan rancangan undang-undang masyarakat adat jika negara Republik Indonesia ingin umur panjang.
Pemahaman tuh batu itu kan simbol keabadian. Ini dari cara pandang juga dan karena pemahamannya kan tuh batu itu bersifat tetap karena dia keras. Tetapi batu juga hidup karena batu itu menjadi sumber hidup dari tanaman-tanaman pelopor seperti lumut. Dia juga bersifat melindungi. Siapa yang batabrak di batu kan gue DP bodoh tuh. Iya tuh.
Initiating launch sequence.
Kalau masih ada yang tersisa, itu dalam sekali. Iya. Dalam itu cinta itu seumur hidup tuh. Kalau ada cinta yang nyata sampai seumur hidup itu cinta pura-pura itu. Iya.
tajam ke tuh, bagaimana mau tajam?
Maknya ada Weris ini.
Bagaimana, Dang?
Tenang, ada anjing kacile gua.
Nanti Ami digigit.
Awas, ya.
Baik tak toki men hendak jabalian
apa Ami mulai bekerja Mama lepasin dulu tali.
Awas kok aja jangan di situ sama dari sini dulu aja. Hai guys
guys.
Tapi kunci kelihatan.
Kakak Oce sini, Kakak Oce pindah sini, dan dudukin dulu.
Pagi-pagi bangun bangkit, semua orang berkumpul, ikut baju sambil kau sama-sama pikolo. Jangan ada yang tertinggal, jangan ada yang tak ikut. Semua itu orang semua, rame-rame di malu.
For the pleasure of the board, a reading of the minutes of the first artist-run Geological Congress. Minute 1, welcome, acknowledgements, and multiple apologies. Minute 5, Harriet Gillies presents the Anthropocene. Minute 15, Luke Russell invites us to liaise with the Dream Time. Minute 30, Emma Mae Gibson demands a drink as she devolves. Minute 40, the capitalist scene, the era of wealth disparity and economic depravity, arrives, declaring itself too big to fail, too big to function. Minute 41. We welcome the delegation of the Summit of Mountains. Minute 50. We welcome the delegation of lost astronauts who bring gravity to the situation. Minute 55. The bombast of baby boomers pushes their way in. Minute 69. The Orgasmocene comes and makes a motion for multiple perspectives. Minute 101, we welcome the delegates with dorsal fins. Minute 220. Krill arrives at the table and seconds the emotions from the ocean. Minute 623. We welcome the delegation of skyscrapers. Minute 730, we welcome the delegation of fire ants, who mourn their queen as their colony collapses. Minute 888, toxic masculinity arrives. Hairy, sweaty, and overly familiar, mansplaining the panelists into submission. Minute 1000. We welcome the delegation of forgotten satellites, beaming out best wishes. Minute 1001, we welcome the Reptilian Association. Minute 1202, we welcome the delegation of Instagram farmers, desperately DMing for water and followers. Minute 1353, we welcome the delegation of stay-at-home mothers. Minute 1606, we welcome the ghost of the Lehman Street fig trees. Minute 1609, with a burning fury, the pyrocene enters and declares a state of emergency. Minute 1736, the delegation of hydration holds a leadership spill. Minute 2000. The Machinocene calls for quorum. Minute 2019. The delegation of striking school children re-educates the Congress. Minute 3,400. We welcome the cuddle puddle of slime ambassadors. Minute 3,921. The delegation of rehabilitated former frack addicts sends their apologies, then shows up anyway. Minute 4,843. We welcome the delegation of penetration. Minute 7,900. Every balloon ever. Minute 8,650. We slip through time, place, and space. Minute 1, we return to the beginning. Minute 15, we welcome the delegation of baleen whales battling to be heard. Minute 30, we welcome the delegation of asphalt. Minute 25, we welcome the coalition of coal miners and their daughters. Minute 11, noble gases. Minute 9, from a dank, dark dance floor, the delegation of e-waste enters. Absolutely trashed, she invites you to a permanent party atop a mountain peak of data leaks, failed startups, and mercury-poisoned make-out sessions. Minute 8, we welcome the delegation of lithium batteries. Minute 7, we welcome the delegation of the monotreme, who can't make up their mind. Minute 6, we welcome the Worm Tribunal, lobbying for their segmented body politics. Minute 5, we welcome the delegation of Future Fossils, a subcommittee made up of your bones and mine. Minute 4, the delegation of future poisons, pathogens, and particles. Minute 3, we welcome the delegation of mobilizing meteorologists. Minute 2, the delegation of the Anthropod Alliance enters and places one foot in front of the other. Minute 1, the delegation of tectonic plates expand, demand, and reprimand. Zero, a negotiation.